we're gonna call the meeting to order at 7:38. This is the reorganization meeting of the Environmental Commission of the Borough of Fairhaven. In accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public meetings may be held in person or by means of communication equipment to include streaming services and other online meeting platforms. This meeting is being held in person and through Zoom, being broadcast from Borough Hall, 748 River Road, Fairhaven, New Jersey. Public participation for this meeting on January 15th, 2025 is available by calling phone number or through Zoom. Members of the public will be on mute until it's time for questions, which will be announced. At that time, the public has the opportunity to question, comment by phone or through Zoom by the raise hand feature. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Asbury Park Press, Two River Times, and Star Ledger on December 30th, 2024. Posted on the Borough website, bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as required under the statute. With adequate notice having been given, the Environmental Commission Secretary is directed to include this statement in the minutes of the meeting. Rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call: Anna Antonin, Sean Bailey,
Here.
William Warner, Kelly Flanagan, Susan Globus,
Here.
Jesse Murray,
Here.
John Palinetti,
Here.
welcome, Gary Patterson,
Here.
John Peters.
Here.
You have a quorum. Also present, Councilman La Barbera and Borough Secretary Christy Larson. For request, would someone like to do some introductions for the new commission member?
Yeah, I thought just before we get started, we do have a new face up here, and so it'll probably be a good idea for all of us just to do a quick introduction and see kind of a name and a face and a little bit of background before we get into the business of tonight. I'll get it started. I'm Sean Bailey, the chair for last year. I live at 11 River Lawn Drive, which is kind of just down towards the dock. I just kind of came in mid-year last year as chairperson. I love Fairhaven because of the proximity to water and the green and the focus on just the ability to be outdoors, but also to kind of have like a bit of a walkable downtown area, especially the historic part. What really gets me energized about this is the ability for the Environmental Commission to work with a lot of volunteers, organizations, and individuals to really push forward an agenda and make sure that the open spaces are protected and maintained, and we're looking at adding where we can, and just making it a great place to live.
I shall go next. Jesse Murray is the vice chair last year and several years before. I've been on the EC for I think about 8 years. It's been since I moved to town, but I'm local, grew up in the area. I have an ecology and marine biology background, and I'm a marine fisheries habitat biologist by trade. I review coastal development projects in the area in New York, New Jersey. But previously I used to design and implement wetland projects around the area as well. Big on the environment is why I joined, and water has always been important to me. So anything related to what we're doing is kind of, I do it for my profession and also my volunteer work.
I'm Gary Patterson. I think I've been on for about 8 years as well. Civil engineering background, and I've lived in town for about 15 years and live on Maple Ave.
Hi, John Peters. Are you Tom?
Yes.
Hi. John Peters. I was former councilman from 2004 to 2019. I've been on the commission, both as a council rep and also a member for a bunch of years. I can't give you a good number. I'm a professor of economics and also on the environmental science faculty. So I have an interest. I'm a waterman. I've been I sail, I fish, anything on the water, ice boater, all that stuff. So I've been in town for 20 something years, 24 years.
Is Susan online?
Yeah, it's Susan.
Sure, thank you. Susan Globus, I have a background in sustainability as it pertains to the built environment. I wrote and delivered a course on sustainable design for the Michael Graves School of Architecture. I'm no longer doing that. I ran a interior design business. I'm a LEED accredited professional. I was asked by the state to develop remodeling, sustainable remodeling guidelines, and so on. I've lived in Fairhaven for a long time. I'm now at a point in my life where I can devote to volunteering, and this is my priority. I'm excited to be here.
I'm Drew LaBarbera. I'm on town council. I'm the liaison this year to the EC. Super stoked, super excited to work with the team. Welcome.
Thanks, Drew. Welcome.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yes, it's my turn. My name is John Palonetti. I live at 6 Rutgers Drive, right across from RBR.
Right.
So I guess my environmental background, was a military support contractor. I, closed Fort Monmouth.
Oh,
So
wow.
closed it, encapsulated it, locked it up, and then 4 years later, they reopened it. But it took us 4 years, 26 project managers, and I was the program manager above them on closing up that environmental disaster. So, so if it comes to, you know, that sort of stuff, I've learned a lot in those 4 years. I left Fort Monmouth, went into software, ran a software company, left. Now I work for the Veterans Affairs as a subject matter expert in IT. I'm the director of their cloud services division. But yeah, hoping to be able to bring whatever I did learn in that 4 years, plus learn some stuff from you guys.
Sounds great. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
We'll move on to appointment of chairperson and vice chairperson. Oh. Anna, would you like to give a brief bio as you're walking in?
We haven't really officially started yet. That's okay. Got a couple new faces, so everyone's just going around and doing a quick intro, a little bit about yourself and relevance to the Environmental Commission.
Is it really me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
No introduction.
thought it was Ben.
We can go again.
I'll make everyone say a different one.
Like, can you just go back to Jessie? She's the legit one. Anna Antonin, I just was coming from the Ed Foundation meeting. That's at the Nolan gym. So, I'm coming up on a year and maybe of being in the EC. It's been wonderful. Locally born, raised here, you know, very happy to be, doing this and start the farmer's market. So I feel like it's just a community thing, and everything that I'm trying to do is for this little community. So that's my spiel. I just, you know, I care about this little beautiful slice of heaven that we have, and I think it's an important thing to upkeep. So it's really fun to do it here. Yeah. That's it. I know him. We're good.
How'd you spell
Don't even try.
Okay, we'll open the floor for appointment and of chairperson and vice chairman, chairperson, excuse me. Nominations for chairperson.
Are you doing this differently or?
You're welcome to make a nomination.
I don't understand. I was last
We
year,
can-
the mayor appointed, I thought, or
It's a reorganization, so everything resets.
Okay.
And so we can,
the mayor's.
We can, yes.
it's up to
We
us
can
now
officially
to.
appoint- we can officially.
Yeah,
nominate now.
okay, go ahead. Yes.
I will nominate Sean. I think you have done an awesome job of, you know, helping to manage everything and kind of wrangling the cats and getting things, keeping things organized. So, I'm more than happy to have you, stay on as chair. So it's my
Second.
nomination.
Any other nominations? Roll call vote for Dawn Bailey as chairperson of EC, Anna Antonin,
Yes.
Sean Bailey,
Sure.
Susan Lopez,
Yes,
Jessie Murray,
Yes.
John Palonetti,
Yes.
Gary Patterson,
Yes.
John Peters,
Yes,
Congratulations, you may take over the meeting.
Thank you. Same thing for vice chairperson, so, we'll.
Is Jesse willing to serve? I nominate Jesse.
Sure,
Okay.
if you wanna nominate me,
I'll nominate Kelly Flanagan.
another great nominee.
Okay. Oh, I don't know, Kelly, that's a good question, Kelly. Is she here?
She's not here.
Well, that's a problem, because unless we want to table it till next time.
Are we not allowed to vote for her if she's not here?
No, you're allowed to vote with her, but I just
She can
usually.
be voluntold.
Okay.
Yeah, the question, are you willing to do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesse could say, I'll vote for Kelly.
Yeah,
Just to
true,
get
it
her,
could
you
be
know what
like
I mean?
that,
Sometimes when you're out of the room, you get nominated.
Sure.
It's just a question of if she wants to do it or not, I don't
I
know.
don't think we ever got a.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, does Kelly want to do it? I mean, how do you feel about it? I mean,
I honestly, I mean, I'm not gonna be hurt by anything. I think Kelly's great and she brings a lot. She's got time. I mean, I said, I'm not going anywhere, so I still have my expertise. I mean, it's. So it's whatever you guys want. I'm totally fine with it.
You know,
Bring it to a vote.
an abstention.
Yeah.
you can vote for her, it's just a question of, do you want to wait and let her, you know, ask Jesse and Kelly just to say something if they want beforehand, or you just want to do it tonight? You know, when somebody's not here, typically when somebody's nominated, you usually want to let them have a chance to speak for themselves, or. You know,
Would be helpful.
Yeah,
So we
if it
just
doesn't
table
hurt
it.
the agenda, I would table it.
I would table
Have
it
her
till
be-
next month if Kelly's gonna be here, if she's really interested. I mean, Jess, how do you feel? I mean,
Yeah, I'm fine. Like I said, whatever the group wants, I'm totally okay with. So,
That gives you a
what are
month
the
to prepare.
responsibilities to fill in when he's not here?
yeah,
Right,
fill
right,
in.
the chair
yeah,
has to take
yeah.
over, right?
Yeah, meetings, that sort of stuff.
Gives you a month to prepare a speech.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We can table it till next month, and when she's here, that's fine.
Okay,
Okay,
when I was acting mayor, I wanted to declare martial law and declare myself dictator for life. And they said I can't do that. I said, what the heck is good being mayor then? I can't declare that. Come on. I was gonna invade Rumps too, because I thought we could invade them.
It's rightfully ours.
You know, see, maybe a dictator for life material. That's good.
Meeting minutes from December, they were circulated last week, by Christie. Any comments or questions, concerns from those meeting minutes? I'd like to move that we approve the December 11th, meeting minutes. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right,
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
all those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. So the agenda for today is a little bit light, given it was a reorganization meeting and there's a couple things, competing priorities going on. So it seems like everything's going on in the first 2 weeks of January. So we were gonna start with, and just an update on the ERI, and kind of where we stand with draft revisions, actions, coming out of last month's.
Yes, so ERI, the Environmental Resource Inventory, I think we had a little break from all of us meeting because the holidays got a little crazy. But I know in the background our, other commissions have been reviewing and providing some comments. So thank you for that. I know we were kind of waiting to get some feedback from like Shade Tree, Natural Areas, all different committees that can kind of put some input into the ERI. I know Susan has been working on the side, doing a lot of great work, kind of helping to reorganize and add some more information. So I think the plan is to Susan, Anna and I will get together and before the next meeting and kind of see what we've gotten that's new and have a better plan next month.
Yeah, I think there was one last email that Robin sent out. Thank you, Robin. Just getting feedback, which has been really the most outside solicitation of feedback that we've had since 2017, maybe even the initial. So we wanted to be as comprehensive as possible. We'll take that once it comes through, finalize the three of us before the next month. We'll get together and pilot.
But I think we should be able to wrap things up, early this year.
Maybe March, shoot for first quarter.
I don't see anyone, Susan. you
Yeah, I think
that's-
first quarter we should be able to,
Yeah.
right?
To a point where we can publish it, and I'm not against it being a document that if it needs to be revised, it can be revised. We're kind
Yeah,
of working
should
as
be
a
livable.
statute of, it has to be done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a living document, so things can, if some things need to maybe get revised, that's fine, but I think to a point where we can put it online so folks can review it, especially with the master plan revision. I think that's super important, so I think that'd be a great goal for us to have, so it'd help everybody else out.
All right.
Training, yeah.
Also on current business, we were gonna speak about Sustainable New Jersey, the application, assignments, progress with Kelly. I know Kelly is not here. Perhaps someone is in the audience is speaking on Kelly's behalf.
Robin?
So. Volunteer.
Hi, Steph.
We're in the process of, we have a working spreadsheet, as you know, I don't think much has changed since December. But we're basically, she sent out the spreadsheet to all the members of the green team for folks to start, choosing whatever actions they want to work on. And I know that she was hoping that the EC would also, take some actions. We have a bunch of points due in February, but I think that's kind of a soft due date. Like if you don't get them in, there's no real penalty. But it's just a way to keep you on track. So I don't know how close we'll get to the number, but, we're making progress.
We have a meeting,
Oh, there's,
we have a meeting next Thursday and just added some people to the green team. So the assignments will go out from our group. And we'll be asking others in town to help with, fill it.
we've also, added a member to the green team who, her son, I don't think I told you guys about this, but he's part of the environmental club at RFH. He's worked with us on the sport swaps. And he's also taking a look at this list, and we're gonna see if there's a way that we can engage the high school, the environmental club at the high school, with maybe helping us document or, whatever kind of work needs to be done.
Quick question, I guess, the renewal, is that what we applied for previously, and it's pretty much just kind of revising those actions? I just see how it's listed as renewal and planned.
Yeah,
Is that what that is?
create a green team as well.
Yeah,
So,
so we already have that, so it matters, I guess it's kind of, I think, because we have the application from last time, right? So we know I know they're very picky about their writing and how it should be like entered, so we have those from last time too, we can use, right?
Yeah, and most of the renewals, it's just about updating, updates, so new photos, new data.
Yeah. Okay,
The
perfect,
actual written portion, really, you probably don't have to do much to that. So
Okay.
that all lives on the dashboard, so we can kind of go in and.
right.
Do we get points for the new ERI? Because
I don't know, I think because we already have one.
Yeah, I know, but it was, because, Chris, because the community, forestry management plan, you're adding, I mean, I think that those need to be updated and kept current. I don't know if that's, I figure out this point. So we have so many,
points for a new one.
no,
Be nice if we did.
We can take a look at
Things
it.
have changed in the past, since we did the last application, so.
Yeah.
I imagine that we'll in areas where we can gain.
Yeah, there's quite a few new
the
actions.
farmer's market now, we're gonna optimize for it.
Mhm.
And
I think your name's already on. And great, so thank you for that update, and so what we talked about in December was just getting organized around what was required, they highlighted the dates. I guess my interpretation was we should shoot for February to get as much in, especially if. Because there's that review cycle where they give you feedback and, you know, you get that a couple times throughout the year, so. What I'd like to see us do from the EC's perspective is support the green team by taking on an action. And if you saw my note from this week, you're already there. I volunteered to take on the fleet inventory. I know. I like the Drew's here now. I feel like I've.
That's okay, no, it's a good one, I like that.
I've got the tools we need to do that one.
Like
And I'm,
fleets of the cars and for other municipality?
I mean, it's as simple as that, yeah, it's like an inventory of our fleet, but then there's a couple data points that we had trouble getting last time around, which gets down into like the specific mileage, the miles per gallon. It starts talking about age and efficiency and things like that, so.
Pretty sure we have that.
I got it, yeah, I'm imagining it somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
And it exists, like whether I go in with a, you know, a clipboard and look at the odometer or someone does. And it's all data that's there. So I raised my hand for that one. Kelly and I talked about partnering on the water story and getting that one done. And I'd love to see you guys raise your hand and pick one or partner with somebody and pick one as well.
It'd also be good to kind of go through, right, with all the different enhancements that have happened over the last year. Right, from a facilities perspective, from what the recycling center is gonna turn into. You know, I don't know if we'll make the quote unquote cutoff, I don't know what the cutoff date is for when, you know, these things need to be live this year. But there's some significant efforts that have taken place that might be able to help contribute towards it, so. We're happy to like go through it and kind of provide some thoughts.
Yeah, I try not to put, you guys know it well, Kelly knows it really well. I still would love to take your guidance as far as where to put our energy. But what I'm trying to offer is us as volunteers, you know, extra sets of hands to get some of the stuff done.
Just Steph, in terms of like the input of it, what do you need from us to?
So you'll see when you go in to do the farmer's market action.
Yeah, that's really why I'm asking.
And so here's the trick for all of you, a tip is when you go in, they're pretty wordy, the action is wordy. If you look on the left-hand side, there's a bar and it's like, you know, who should participate, blah, blah, blah. Scroll right down to what you need to do for this action. And that's gonna like summarize it and tell you what you need to do.
Okay.
Usually it's just a write-up, it depends on the action, but it can be 1 to 2 paragraphs. And then often they're looking for some kind of documentation,
Okay,
photographs, charts.
Yeah.
But scroll down to what to do
so,
and save yourself.
so we just need to create an account ourselves, or is there a general sign-in?
So,
Should we all be compiling in the same?
you know, there's a couple of sign-ins. I
Okay.
think there's a green team sign-in that you could probably use to get
Could we
in.
put it in that doc, just off the side, so that we could all, you know, as we go, we can just kind of throw everything in there?
Yeah, you
Okay.
could just set up a Google Doc folder and put
Cool.
everything in there and then that actually probably makes more sense.
That does.
Yeah.
You know, but last time it was really just 2 of us that
Right.
were working on it, but now there's a lot more.
Yeah, maybe
people,
we
so
can
that
just
makes sense.
collaborate on it
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, I think it's focusing on if there's like a content write-up, like just get that part done.
Sure.
And that could just be in an email, even,
Right.
and someone else could, you know, Christie's offered to help in a lot
Compile
of
it,
this. and
okay.
she, you know, because the physical part of uploading it onto their site, I wouldn't get too tripped up on that
Great.
part.
I wasn't sure if we needed to upload it onto their site. Okay.
Like the old stuff's already in it, and then you can just update. But I don't know how many people have access, so let's see.
Plus the previous one's already on there. Okay. It really is just kind of reading through to see what actually needs to be updated in the write-up for the most part, or something needs to be attached.
It'll tell you, but I mean, but like you said, you'll take Kelly, Steph's, the green team's direction at which ones they want to be
Yeah.
done. Because here it has on the right column where it says expired, planned, unplanned, like they would tell us which ones they want to do.
So I assume all the expired ones are the renewals that are on the list that you gave us, right? Okay.
Yeah. And then the planned, that's all carried over from last year. Those
Okay.
are the ones that we just kind of marked like, oh, maybe,
Okay,
but you know, we didn't need to do them. So those are good ones to maybe look at first.
okay.
They were.
I was gonna ask if we should
appealing.
prioritize certain ones.
Yeah.
Okay,
This conversation's a good one because when we meet next Thursday, we'll be able to take these questions and have answers.
Is the green team meeting next week?
Yes, that's Thursday.
Thursday.
Where is it? Is it here? For the year?
It's here,
Okay.
so we've moved to, Thursdays.
Okay.
I think the fourth Thursday, so. We'll be available.
So it's 7 or 7:30?
My turn?
Obviously.
Hand up. Thanks. Just a couple of questions, and I think you probably answered it in the beginning, but I didn't hear all of it because never mind, because I'm online. But it was more about the logistics. Is there one point person that we can go through if we have questions? I think I have some knowledge to lend a couple of these areas, but I don't understand exactly what's required. So that would be helpful. And also, are we consolidating this through one person when we do have a question? That's one question. And the second question is, why are we going for silver, not gold? Is this a matter of volunteer capacity?
So I'll answer the first question. For our group, Susan, Kelly will be our point person.
Okay,
So if you have questions or you've got content to offer, I would start with her. And she may direct you somewhere else ultimately, or Christy might be the one that actually takes the action, but we'll go through Kelly.
great,
The
thank you.
second thing, the second thing is that New Jersey, what is it, what the heck is it?
Sustainable Jersey.
Are you answering the first
I'm
question?
answering the first question, which is why don't we go for gold? The answer is
That's the second question.
sustainable, okay, sustainable New Jersey.
Hold on. That's
Okay,
the second.
why don't we go for gold? Okay, I'll answer why we go for gold. You want me to
Can I-
answer now?
Stephanie, would you like to answer or should we let John answer first?
Well, let me just say the reason I get frustrated, because we were doing stuff like recycling long before Sustainable New Jersey existed. And they were telling us rules that we already done like ahead of time, and then they were trying to make us change everything to fit their mold. They also don't value things. I do a lot of work on transport and transportation. They don't value stuff that they should hire, like our bike and walk to school should get us a lot more points than we get, because nobody in New Jersey has 600 kids a day walking and bike to school, and that destroys 1,200, no more than that, 2,400 vehicle trips. Parent out, school, home, parent out, pickup, school, home. That's, how do you destroy trips in America in vehicles? We have 600 kids a day on an average good day, even in this cold weather. But they don't value that. They give us like, whatever, 10 points or something silly. You know, that should be like 50-point thing. So we would be easy gold if they valued the right stuff, but we'll just have to look at that.
And so just to add to that, the gold, and it's,
Nice thing.
we absolutely could. They tend to focus on an area. So for instance, I think there's like a health, let's call it, I'm making it up, but the health and wellness, category. And then some of your actions that you've already done you might apply. But you have to, there's usually like one big kind of initiative involved. For instance, the health and wellness, like the farmer's market would feed into that. We would probably have to do some kind of food waste initiative or composting. So there needs to be, that's a more convoluted than the actions tend to be, but it's totally doable, and we're surrounded by other boroughs that have done it. So I hope that, you know, if we can get all of this stuff out of the way, then yes, we could kind of focus on that one larger gold star. And kind of keep that in mind as we're choosing our actions, like, okay, if we want to do the health and wellness one. You know, I was thinking about we do the women's 100-mile challenge, we do a turkey trot, like we do things in tandem that would probably apply to that particular area. So it probably should be someone that's assigned to that's kind of thinking about it.
Gotcha. And I think we broached the subject in December, you know, because I remember Kelly talking through the different categories and how you have to have breadth. So you have to cover a lot of the, you know, an item in each category or more, and then depth as well in certain categories. Maybe that's what you're talking about. So it didn't seem like it was like too far away to get there.
It's just telling the story.
And so if it's, you know, if it's something that I or we can help with, when you guys get together on Thursday, keep that in mind. And I agree, like, I don't know that we have to settle for silver. I don't think it's a bad target, but I don't know why we don't overshoot.
No, but like here, they give you 5 points. No, for bike and walk, I mean, you know what I'm saying, like, that should be you're talking about some real sustainability, you're talking about eliminating carbon footprint, right? That's what our walk and bike to school program does, and we get this much.
So maybe we can advocate for 50 points.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you really are green, there's what's called greenwashing in the field, you know, and it looks green, but it's not really, and I'm like, this is real stuff, and you get 5 points. Bike and pedestrian plan, 10 points.
I do think that we should keep our goals in mind, that when Sustainable New Jersey became a goal of the Green Team, that it was grant money that we were after, and that that I really do believe that we haven't taken, even the silver stats, I don't think that we've taken advantage of it enough.
Yeah.
There is money that we can get, we leave it on the table. And I also think that we can use a lot of these programs to reduce taxes, not taxes, but to reduce the burden on the borough if you change behavior. One of them in mind that I'm thinking that is food waste. We can do a better job, and we can save the town money, I'm certain of.
Of what?
Mm-hmm.
Food waste?
Food waste, whatever.
Yeah.
I did remind the Green Team that, you know, I think it's February 15th, the PSEG grant cycle. And we are eligible, since we only did a $2,000, were rewarded a $2,000 grant last year. So there are $2,000, $10,000, and $20,000 grants on the table. But the application is due on the 15th, but so it's something to keep in mind.
I agree with you, Sean. Let's aim high, and if we don't reach gold, then we'll have silver. But let's not self-limit.
Great, all right, so as I said at the beginning, I'd really like everybody to take one or partner up with somebody and take one. So you're not totally on the spot tonight, have a look at it again. I will be sending out a Google form after tonight to everybody, and you'll let me know then which one you're gonna take off.
Can we get the login on that too, just so we can actually take a look at those actions and kind of a little more detail as well, unless needed?
That's a Kelly question. I think there's an amount of users, so she can assign.
Okay.
She gave me mine. That's all I know.
I was able to Google most of the descriptions now, so, like the Ready, Set, Go fire program, we definitely fit all those requirements. Our fire, I'm a fireman, our fire company fits that.
There are a
All
lot
the
of fire
printed- yeah.
actions. Yeah.
Yeah, all the printed material for that, we could just hand to you guys, I don't even know if
Yeah.
we got the points for it last year,
Right.
but I definitely haven't heard of it until just now. So
You can
that's,
look up what we got, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just,
Yeah.
I saw fire.
This is accessible.
Okay.
I found it. You can actually look up.
Oh, go by town,
Yeah, you could go down by town.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
I mean, you
We
can.
should maybe
you
have a
somebody up,
scavenger
like
hunt to
some
see if
other
we can
town
find
that
points we don't have
something
yet.
that
So you know what I mean?
Oh, this-
No, I mean, like, in other words, anybody who could
This is
throw
fun.
out, if
Gamify
there's
it.
points we don't have,
Let's do it.
tell us, so let's get them. And,
I'm not sure.
but I'm
I
just
like that.
saying some of this is garbage.
Even if the points are
Again,
garbage,
I'm a
yes.
transportation guy, I get really mad when you don't manage autos well. And to give 10 points for safe streets, so bike and walk to school, I'm like, that's a 50 point. We should get 10 points per kid. Because there are towns like Freehold that nobody bikes to school. I mean, nobody. You know what I mean? But I'll take 1 point a kid. I want 600 points.
So you could also,
Platinum.
there are innovative actions, that you're entitled to 3 of them, so if you could kind of create a narrative that but we would have to do something now as part of that innovative action to
I got it.
show how we stand out.
No, I got it, but again, it is a crack smoking kind of behavior, because we already do it, we've been doing it for years, I mean, I could calculate, you know what we could do? We could calculate the carbon footprint input over the last 10 years,
Yeah.
right? I can give you that, I've
Do
already
it.
done it,
Yeah.
you know, and say, hey, look, you know, this is a community that's contributed X number of tons of reduction. I mean, we're not talking 50 cents, we're talking tons and tons and tons of carbon. That's an idea.
Put together, encourage other communities to do the same thing, that's valuable data.
It took us 3 years to close Third Street, just so everybody in this room knows. We had to fight with New Jersey DOT for 3 years to close Third Street.
And the innovative.
It's not
actions
technically
sometimes-
closed.
What?
It's not technically.
It's close to vehicular.
I know, but I just want like, you can't prevent the UPS truck.
Yeah, but to get those barriers up took us 3 years.
100%.
We get 3 years to do it. All right, yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah, go for it, creative cap and.
I'd like more clothes.
but, no, I mean, it's, I'm looking at this, yeah, we should all do a scavenger hunt. If we take a look at what we have and see if we could, anybody could figure out points we're not getting. But again, some things are silly and they get a lot of points, and some things are important and get very little.
We even see what adjacent towns are doing, like, isn't Little Silver gold status? I think.
Who?
I think Little Silver is,
Really?
right? Right, isn't Little Silver gold status, or
Red
Rumson?
Bank is.
Red Bank is?
Really?
So, just,
Silver, it says bronze.
never
They're
mind.
stepping up there, like
Okay.
I'm wondering, they're doing all these workshops,
Yeah.
environmental
Yeah.
workshops and. There's a water gold star as well.
Mm,
Yeah, the water story is.
The water is really important.
And,
okay.
And I think it unlocks other things after you do it too.
Yeah,
Boom, there you guys, there's other kind of.
Where's Red Bank?
Who's up there? Yeah, it's one of those things.
Red Bank.
Silver, yeah, Red Bank's still.
I'm being adventurous of the process, that's why I do not care.
It's noted in the notes.
Yeah. It's noted in the notes.
No, I came in, we had a fight over like a recycling program or something early on where they showed up with new rules. I'm like, our rules are like 25 years old. We've been doing this, other people were just driving around. We were recycling, curbside recycling. It's been there 25 years. Anybody, how long have we had curbside recycling? Anybody know? It's over 20. Only 9, it's over 25 years, so it was 30 plus years. And then they were telling us we had to change our ordinance. And I'm like, this is the model that you should have used to build your scoring thing. And now I'm sitting here going, we gotta change because you're Johnny come lately in my book.
Cool. So, I think going into your meeting on Thursday, you'll have some idea about a few of the things we can pick up. And then take that as an input when you guys go through it on Thursday. Like was set up here, if there are some items that you'd like help with specifically, don't hesitate to call them off.
you're all welcome to come.
I'm sorry?
You're all welcome to come. to the
Yes.
meeting.
Can I throw one out? Like, maybe we could have a sign in front of both of the schools saying, thanks for biking and walking to school. This school has saved over X number of tons of carbon over the last 15 years. And that could be our creative and innovative
It's
thing.
also
Yeah.
Earth Week.
Do you know what I mean? It's a very straightforward thing. Just say to the kids, thank you for, and then like have like a thermometer, saying every year, what I'll work on the numbers.
You can even add like a social media handle.
Right. Now, I'm just saying that might be something that would give us
Spread it if
extra
you want
points
to,
or
like
call,
take a picture in front of the sign.
long term, you know what I mean?
You've got to tell my daughter I can't give her a ride anymore.
That's fine. Get on
We're
that
gonna-
way.
Okay, hold on, we surveyed the kids. I surveyed the kids. We could do it again. We surveyed the
Which I'm
kids.
fine with.
Yeah.
Question, how do the kids in Fairhaven want to get to school?
Biking.
They want to bike and walk.
Via
Why?
Dunkin'.
Because they do. When we did it, we surveyed them about, I guess, 15 years ago. They want to walk and bike.
Well, the
Because
best-
that's a
the
big
best-
kid. That's a big kid. I get to walk with my friends.
Yes, the
you know
best
what I
part
mean?
about growing up in Fairhaven, hands
Exactly.
down, is the independence you gained in second and third grade from walking alone to school. Because it was safe, cars weren't speeding,
Correct.
and parents knew that their kids were on the road, so they weren't gonna go 40 down any of the side streets. Things have changed. And it was just,
I've
it
seen
gave
the
you,
enemy and he is us.
yeah, it gave you
Okay, so-
immediate independence as a 10-year-old, and you don't have that in other places, even next
Right.
door.
You
They
can be a
get us.
citizen, you can be a citizen here.
Yeah.
At 10, you're a citizen.
So that's something huge.
But they like it. That's important to know. Everybody, like, do the kids want to do it? Yes.
Cool. All right,
All right, I'll work on that.
let's move on.
Great.
So that was the last item, for current business. Before I move on, any from anyone else, anything, like past couple months topics I didn't include on the agenda that you want an update on or want to bring up
I
tonight?
just wanted to bring up Robards Park briefly. We'll circulate to everybody.
Yeah, why
The
don't
mapping
you?
stuff we did, so Sean and I went out, we used my high-tech GPSs, which are accurate to the size of a pizza box. And we established where the upper and lower bank is on Robards Park, and we compared it to the existing survey. So now we can discuss what we're thinking about doing next, you know, is it just a planting program? We have
The living shoreline, right?
yeah, well, we have the high tide and low tide line. I mean, obviously with that environment, you have to have plants that are sustainable in that, you know, in that environment, right? So, but we know the dimensions. We have
John, what was the goal of the GPS? What were you trying to achieve?
well, we want to see, I have a comparison to the prior survey. We just want to see how much changed relative to the prior survey.
So we had, sorry,
I can go.
we had handed it off to the administrator.
Yeah.
In November with the Stevens Tech report and design.
Yeah.
American
some
Little
tech-
Society also some input.
Yeah, some technical designs,
Sorry.
and after the first review, the question was the survey still viable, relevant? Because it's about 8 years old.
So at least we have some good data points. We know where things are today. It doesn't look.
We were gonna put money, we had money laid out to have someone come in and do it. In the meantime, John and I just went over and took basically points along
Bunch of
the
shots,
edge to
yeah.
see how
Before and after.
how it connected to the current survey.
Yeah, check.
Not for now, not like the professional, survey.
No, understood.
But it still does like that, I mean, that's what Trimble, I mean, it's
Yeah,
still.
Trimble Geostat
yeah,
there.
they
How much
s-
changed?
they still-
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask.
I,
How much was the
I
change?
think it's relatively stable. I think that what you're having is you're silting in, you know, the littoral drift is from west to east. So as it comes around the bulkhead at the outworks, it tends to fill in there. That low tide line is way out. The purple
Yeah.
line there is way out now. So you can walk way out. It really filled in. So, you know, there is change, but I think it's actually, the bank is almost vertical.
Are the
on
dotted
the
lines
east.
the pass?
Dotted line is the high part of the bank. I'll send it
Okay.
to everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Blue line is the bottom of the bank.
Okay,
Green line is the low tide line, it has high tide line, and the purple is the low tide.
and was the other map the change in?
That was the actual original survey. That's the original survey. That's showing the low tide line on the original
Okay, got
survey. It's approximate, but it gives us an idea, and you'll like my fee. Which is a big fat zero, so,
Thank
you know, the City University of New York is willing to contribute and help the town of Fairhaven.
When you
It's a
send it out,
$7,000 GPS.
can you include a professional assessment of the delta?
What, in terms of what, where it moved?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're poking at right now, and I'm gonna try and see if I can get
Put some
some
type of like.
better aerials of it, yeah.
Percent tolerance of how much, within, plus or minus 5% accuracy.
When
10%.
when was the last time that was,
Well, what's interesting is the property line, we have the property line, and that was set whenever they sold the property, right? And you could technically have, you know, stuff in the littoral range.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the bank has moved since we bought. I mean, there are existing large trees on the top of the bank, so.
Yeah, I think that.
Some of it, maybe some erosion.
I think I think there's the one erosion issue that's the closest to the property,
Which
like
way, east or west?
towards the east.
The east side
that's
is
where-
almost vertical. When we
Yeah.
did the plots, the east side is
Yeah,
almost
that's the
vertical.
worst part where the erosion is, and I think someone had mentioned that there's some runoff over there that's contributing to that, but yeah, that bank right there is like pretty steep. so
No, if you look at
that's-
the points, it's essentially
Yeah.
vertical. The points are like this, right on top of
Right.
each other.
So that's
I mean-
really the concern is we don't wanna lose any more land, we wanna make sure that that's staying put, so we don't lose it.
I mean,
Is there a time factor to how long before the erosion, does something irreparable?
I mean, the tree there doesn't look great. I know we had taken photos like
Yeah.
last year, the year before, just showing that part of the property, and what it looks like. I don't know if you have any recent ones, but I mean, you never know the big storm and with the winds and stuff we've been having, like it really like can change.
Isn't there an outstanding grant? Isn't there like
Mhm.
25 grand or something that could be used towards the living
Mhm.
shoreline? Yeah, check.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's the reason why it's top of mind. The funds are already set aside, about $75,000-$80,000
That's good.
earmarked for this project.
Mhm.
We have the design from Stevens. We have the support from some of our partners. And it's sort of just sat there like shelved for years. And so with Chris on board, we brought him in, we briefed him on the history, he's aware of all the documentation.
Got it.
It sits with him and Nancy.
Perfect.
And so they're deciding, I believe they're deciding if they have the materials enough to go out to bid, or if there needs to be additional work done. So I will close the loop and take John's plot and share that with Chris. and
Loop
Nancy.
me into the conversation, please.
And there'll be a permit associated.
Yeah, I guess the question was, do you need to do more work to get a permit? Are you going with a permit, or are you just gonna be planting, right, in the zone?
You're on the Navasink, so there's DEP regulations,
Yeah, I know, but
right? So you're gonna have to involve some type of engineer.
There's a permit associated with it.
Right, it's
for
GP 10,
planting of
GP
native?
13,
Planting, no, but if there's, yeah.
Well, that's the question.
Yeah,
Are we
planting-
going
But
further
just
either a 10 or a
planting
13.
is not gonna be enough.
on that end?
On that one edge.
Okay.
So,
But- irrespective of that, the borough will have to engage likely with, a specialized engineer. We will have to fit out a general permit 10 or 13 with the DEP. Right, and there's certain things that come along with that, like just to touch it, just FYI, I'm just putting it out there, so.
No, and this is the question, because again, if you don't have the resources.
Correct.
And if you're not willing to go along, I hate to waste money on engineering and not do.
And not follow through.
Right, and I'm saying, let's try to figure out a low tech, low
No,
cost
it's
way.
clearly an issue, I remember this memo.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I don't wanna belabor it, Sean, just pull me into the conversation, and now's the budget time, right? So
Yeah.
between now and April is when the budget's finalized, so the quicker we have that conversation with Chris and Nancy, the quicker we can bring it.
I think it's less, so I don't know all those conversations. I guess I see it very simply, the earmarked dollars are there. So it's more a question about workload.
mhm.
Who can take it on and who can start doing the work that's required to progress the
To get it
project.
over the finish line.
So
Yeah.
Not do the plantings, but the
Do the
paperwork.
get the
and
permit and then-
100%, right?
engineering.
But it's not just that, right? It's understanding the whole cost estimate.
Mhm.
Right, because the engineering is gonna be your most significant cost. There is not in-house maritime engineering that exists in Borough, right? So then there's a cost to that,
Hmm.
right? So understanding to the extent of the permitting and the engagements of DEP involved, right? I don't even know, another question I would ask, right? And is out of that 80 grand, what can be used for soft costs versus hard costs?
Mhm.
Right, can any of that $80,000 be used to cover the engineering expenses? If not, then the borough would fund it, and then the other is for like the capital, the hard cost investment. So just
No, it's just been one of our questions. Is there a way to do this low tech?
100%.
Low cost with volunteers and plantings and, and the other piece is a heavy duty engineering solution, which will definitely have major.
I mean, the only way you stop the erosion is to have some kind of engineering piece, right?
Right.
You're not gonna have volunteers bring in sand, right? And
No,
like-
no, but I mean, I especially at least the western 60% of it, I think certainly has quite a bit of room from the high tide line,
Okay,
up.
The west,
you know.
yeah, the western side.
And if we got in there and established a bunch of salt tolerant planting, that really helped stabilize it, actually could better.
awesome.
The other thing is there's some riprap floating around down there that's not maybe optimally positioned, maybe we can move stuff around,
Check.
That not bringing more materials in, but just reallocate.
Yeah.
Cause it's only that one real section there that seemed to be very vertical, which was in the picture.
Yeah, definitely can get my hands into this one with you. This is
Awesome.
This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks, John, for the update. Did you have something too you wanted to bring up? Okay. Anything else? I'll just make a note, we had been talking monthly about, the McCarter Pond Committee. I'll just give a quick update. Our last meeting was in November. Since then, we've broken off into some, subgroups, some work streams, looking at some deep dive. Funding is one of them. Dredging versus hydro raking solutions is another one. We've been meeting with a couple of experts and service providers in the meantime. We have been asked to come and present what we have so far to council at the end of the month. So we're working right now, pulling all of that work together into a report and a presentation format. Take council and the public through, basically where we're at.
Awesome. Anything you need from me before the 27th?
Nope.
Cool.
No, because both Kristen and Michael have been involved. And they're the ones that have taken the lead on the funding
Amazing.
work stream. So we have, at least we have a knowledge base of what's eligible, like what's available out there to use. And then it's starting to look at, well, if, now we start handpicking, if we do this thing to restore the pond, then here are the funding sources that could match to that. If we do something that's more around maintenance, here's the funding that could match with that.
Awesome, cool.
All right, any questions?
Are there university partnerships? We did a lot of university partnerships when it came to the ponds. I used to live in East Brunswick. and we did a ton of university partnerships with Rutgers.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure if you called them, they would do it, they would do that as well, so that's something to look at.
Where we, yeah, and it's funny you bring that up. Where we are right now is, we're already starting to talk about how we package this as an RFP,
Yeah,
knowing what happens with the last time we went
Yeah.
to get hydro raking on contract.
because a lot of these
And so-
colleges have grants and they don't have a site to work on.
Yeah,
You know, like even, there's farming and biological.
so what we need
Yeah, yeah.
as an input
Yeah,
to get what we think we need as an input to get a better response is some assessment of the pond today,
Cool.
which is understanding the depth. Understanding if there's any hazardous material,
Yeah.
because that would limit what we can
Course,
do with the spoils and whatnot, so. Yes, we are
Awesome.
talking to a professor tomorrow,
Oh,
actually,
okay.
about how to get that, excuse me?
From Rutgers or?
He's not just Rutgers, he is like an adjunct, Dr. Souza.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
just 2 data points, and I'm probably repeating stuff you already know. When they did hydro rake, they took depth measurements a year ago. They did all the analysis on the not the soils, on the hydro materials that were pulled. So like in the compositions and stuff, so that data exists already. And then the other data point is that the state of New Jersey has procured their own, I don't know what, a hydro raking boat.
Monmouth County has.
Monmouth County, excuse me, yeah, and so I know Chris has been working that, so. Just want to give you those 3 data points, that there's a ton of data that came out of the last hydro raking. Soil content, all of that. Avakian was a key one, and then there was another professional that was involved with it, so.
Awesome, all right, I have nothing for new business, is there anything else from the floor you guys want to add? Cool, and then, oh, go ahead, Gary,
On like the deer.
Oh, good question.
I don't know if anybody.
what's the question?
Any update on the deer, issue? Deer.
The last, didn't we workshop this in December? Did everybody? Yeah. Aren't we waiting on that one piece of inventory?
Stone survey.
Yeah.
Chris is working really hard to get that to happen.
That's
DEC.
the piece that's required
Right.
to help inform the next step of the event.
Okay, Forest Health Survey, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, we had, I forget what regulatory body that came out and presented, right? They talked about all the different options and.
That's DP that came out.
Exactly, right, and they gave the presentation to the government body of what would work, what wouldn't, based on lessons learned. And then as the conversation progressed, it went to that inventory, which would help provide some of the initial data that you need.
Mhm.
I think too, also I don't know if it was us or somebody else, but reached out to the surrounding towns. And who would have an appetite for like deer hunt and all that, and some of those surrounding towns were like, nope. So all that data is being.
But if we hunt, they may move.
Uh,
This has been the challenge, because we didn't have a real problem 20 years ago, and it's been
it's,
progressing in, these deer.
I don't wanna dive into it, it's a super complex problem, and there are 15 different variables associated with it, right? But, so that's the latest that I have, so once Chris's York is done, moving the inventory over the hump and getting that done, then that's the next step.
Does that cost us anything, by the way?
I think we got a grant for it.
Yeah.
didn't we?
We got a grant to cover.
Okay, I just don't like things, I don't like governmental cram downs from the state. I have a thing about that, because they're always showing up and saying do X, and I'm like, you gonna pay? No. Okay,
So is this the center of the whole silver gold thing?
yeah, I'm like, no, it all plays out the same way, because at the end of the
Let's
day,
link this up.
you have X number of resources, right?
100%.
And I'm like, we had a state biologist in here, right, to give us guidance, and they said, right, doing a hunt, and now I'm sitting there, now we gotta do a survey, I'm like, I didn't hear that last, when they were driving here, we have to do a tree survey of the forest.
Yeah, but they had a lot of grants though, like to
All right.
contribute to actually
I don't
get the
trust
program. No.
I don't trust them, because then they show up and they give you $5,000 and it's a $15,000 survey, and then guess who's on the hook for the rest? And, so I'm always like,
Skeptical.
yes, very much. And by the way, that's out of experience.
No, 100%.
That's not out of being paranoid.
Yeah.
That's out of,
You've lived it.
left at the altar one too many times,
Cool, moving on. The last thing on the agenda, under our administrative items, the strategic plan and priorities. So Christie, if you could bring up what I sent out earlier today. It's a continuing conversation, guys. What I'd like to do is, we don't have to spend too much time and get out of here at a good time tonight, but I do want to just take everyone through where we are. The next steps is really to break it out and have everybody get a little bit of ownership and thought leadership into it. Thanks, Christy. Yeah. So if you just go to the table of contents. Slide. So what we were trying to do is work through these, and Susan and I, took a crack at the first, 3-4 bullet points. If you remember last month, we presented what an example strategy, like under, key priority area would look like. And we promised to come back, two things. We promised to come back with the other 3, and we promised to interlock with council. So we haven't had a chance to do a deep interlock with council, but with Drew here, we can do it live as we're talking. And from here, what I'd like to do is, after we go over it tonight, is start to get each of you to pair up and take one of them, be responsible for building out our objectives in those respective spaces. So
Can I ask a couple questions?
before we go, yeah, sure.
Just to like set the mindset. So this is EC writ large, right? This is the goal. What is the end goal of this document, and who's the audience for it? And what other key stakeholders across the borough are going to support the creation of it? So those are my 3 questions.
So let me start with the third one. I think that's the easiest. So my initial thought and how we've been progressing it has been to involve natural area, green team, garden club. Basically a lot of the volunteer organizations that have some sort of stewardship or responsibility for open spaces.
Yes. Perfect. Okay.
So the idea is, and those that don't, so 3rd Street Trail is kind of an orphan. Like, they don't fit under the natural area perfectly. Mark is kind of like Mark Olson is kind of like a single entrepreneur of.
And Bonnie, come on.
Did they break out the bird sanctuary into a new group?
Yes,
Okay.
Bird Sanctuary as well, yeah, so I was not exhausted, but,
Okay.
so the idea is, can we, as, I mean, if you go back to our objective, our mission is, we're basically meant to give you guys, council, like, we are meant to be giving you guidance and opinions on things related to open spaces.
Okay.
That's kind of cool, but it's also like really nebulous.
Well, and we also have the master plan for the town, right? And we now have the Sustainable New Jersey. So those 2 things with the Environmental Commission, the council only has a limited amount of time to talk about certain items. And if we can provide good and helpful counsel on items that might be of concern, some don't cost money, some require policy, and other things cost money. And sometimes we need action from the borough council to actually do certain things in town. So
No, totally. Like,
and it's a communication document. It's not like, we're
no, I understand.
dictating policy, right? But it's.
What I love about it though, right, is because, and I'm sure everybody in this room has experienced it, right? Resources, money, all that
Right.
stuff is finite, right? So the more alignment, the better, right? Especially when you look at the priorities, right? The 4 priorities that are sustained. So then go to audience and goal. So copy that on the stakeholder involvement, all that. Who's the audience of it, and what's the goal of this, right? Is it buy-in? Is it money? Is it resources? Is it a seat at the table when it comes down to like the financial planning, like?
It's for me, and you guys speak up too. For me, it's what are we working on?
Yeah, that's really it. We didn't even have that before this.
Yeah, to have a plan, we need a
Yeah.
plan for all of us to work together, so we can come to council saying, hey, here's our priority, what we wanna work on, and what we would like you to focus on and help us do.
I think before it was like the deer mitigation, it was like, those were events or actions, but this is more of a holistic approach to what we stand for, what we want to focus on, how we move things forward,
How we work together.
how we work together. We didn't
Yeah.
have, it
It's
was.
strategic, not tactical.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then anyone that comes on in the commission, there's like, we'll have this, so it's like, hey, here's what we're doing, here's how we do it.
And real quick, Jen, just a follow-up question to that. So I'm fully on board. I love it. What is the plan around the sustainability of the document, right?
Right.
Right, so, year over year, governing bodies can change, year over year, commissions can change and all that, right? So what's the thought process behind ensuring that the document out survives everybody's term, the commission year over year?
Right.
Because it's one of the greatest, frustrations is turnover in the governing body sense and in the municipalities that causes delay in action, right?
Mhm.
So I posed, I don't need an
No,
answer.
no, but in a sense that, I think one of the things you always have to recognize, and again, being out of office for 5 years now, I was in for 15, out for 5. There's a continuum, you're there now, you know what I mean? So there is a continuum, the council of borough continues, the people change, right? But how do we best convey? Sometimes we have people like me hanging on and participating a little bit to help, do different things, and that's helpful, because I can talk about things that happened a long time ago. But the other thing is this document, right, to give
Yeah.
you, again, I take the master plan very seriously. Because that's the people on the planning board talking to us and to the council and saying, this is what we should be doing. Because everybody sat down really hard and thought about that, right? And so you want to.
Agreed, but not to get like philosophical here, right, but like the master plan is one of many documents though that guides, right? The master plan, the ATP, you have the NS4 program, right, which is stormwater, right? So, all of that, right, whatever, don't get it. I love this. I think this is.
No, but I think we should probably revisit this every year,
Yeah.
maybe every January, February.
I think it's a list document.
That's how.
And meant
Yeah,
to be
fantastic.
provided to, hey, do we all have the same exact, like things that we're focusing on? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of it. So
It's
we,
great.
because we might accomplish something, but hey, this is off the table. Do we want to add something else in new, or has something come up in town that becomes a priority? So it's meant to be a living document.
No, it's good that you bring up the point of other types of documents like the stormwater management policy. Those tend to be specific, I guess, right? And this is kind of more visionary. I mean, like that tends to be something that somebody who like the town engineer would be referring to what we're supposed
well,
to
in
do.
terms
for
of
town.
this, the content breakdown, even the first 3, maybe 4 are, no, first 3 are visionary, the last 4 are. Those are going to change annually, so this will have to be looked at. I mean, less communication and engagement. No, even so, calendar events, education series and strategies and projects will force us.
I'm gonna ask for a 5th bullet point though, because I think we should have a bullet that says a livable, sustainable community. You know what I mean? Because here it's all about our physical infrastructure, but it should also be about, and again, we've had this back and forth on council for years and with the environmental commission. This is not Yellowstone National Park. This is the place where people live. How do we make this place the best and most sustainable for the river? You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing I think we should add is like, how do you encourage good stewardship of our
Yeah.
community,
That's a great-
walkability,
Yeah.
biking, transport policy, even that, like things like a grocery store, you think about that, but every time you can eliminate a long trip to the shop right and go to the I mean, that's a huge benefit to the environment,
Yeah.
But I don't, that's something I think we should think about adding is just.
I think it's back to that, adding the use case that you talked about, right, with the carbon footprint that's been
Yeah.
avoided, like that data point, right, if, I don't know what a authoritative, incredible source is, right, to validate it and whatnot, but putting that in here and letting that be a prime example is just.
Yeah, I do. I use the Bay Area Rapid Transit model, which
Yeah.
is the standard for a lot of people in carbon footprint calculation, do the issue of transport versus taking mass transit versus driving. And they have a pretty well validated model out there in California that I use, so.
Sean, have you had any
Straight up.
conversations with the GB on presenting this within like Q1?
No, it's still sitting very raw with us.
Okay.
And so
Got
it's, if you keep, so if you want to scroll down a little bit, Christie, to, keep going. Keep going. The priorities here, the 4 priorities, so. These are the same that they were in December. The origin of these 4 goes back to September when we held the workshop with the green team and others, and we broke into small groups and we brainstormed and we prioritized. We forced ourselves to say, like, what were the really high priority items? And then we tried to, from there, massage them into buckets. One of the main objectives I have is having a common language. So when Carolyn or the next leadership or the natural area takes over and they've talked about, you know, restoring the northwest corner, they've talked about plans for the interface with the cherry trees on Fairhaven Road, like, how does that impact other parts of volunteers and natural, you know, people that care about open spaces? If that can live with us as stewards of that information, doesn't take it away from them. But
Just ensures
it's yeah, exactly. It fits somewhere on a page that says, here was an objective. Now we're looking at McCarter Pond, we're gonna have acres worth of material coming out. Is the natural area a good fit for it?
Yeah.
You know, at least we have a starting point of a dialogue and some sort of interlock with these other groups.
I love it.
So if you scroll down to the next slide, Christie. This was one we had in December. And so strategies there under the priority, I'm not hung up on the words here, but really we're trying to get into some objectives. Like, what are some objectives we have? You know, specifically around shoreline stabilization, we just talked about the Normandy living shoreline. Water quality, we haven't had that top of mind here, like a scorecard. You know, how is our air? How is our canopy? How is our water? Can we report on that on a monthly, quarterly, semi-annual basis? And start tracking that. Like, that to me, as the chair of this body, I feel like that's a missing component. And so whether these are right or wrong, like, that's really up for the group to decide. This is a starting point. I wanted to give people something, and Susan and I wanted to give everyone a chance to react to something. I think it's easier to react to than create. And so the next 3 were not presented in December. So the open space preservation. If you want to scroll down a little bit, Christie, to the next slide.
John, can I just ask a question real quick?
Yeah,
I
sure.
I wanna ask John based on his 15 years of experience. John,
Yeah.
where my head's going is bridging this. Right, to ultimately what informs governing body decisions, right?
Mhm.
And so the governing body uses the master plan, the ATP, all these other like documents, right?
Right.
So the master plan was done in 91, right? It's been a re-examination year over year.
Yeah.
How do you bridge this to the master plan so that it almost becomes like an extension of it, but it's the environmental extension?
ERI.
Is
Well,
that-
It's the ERI.
But yeah, but it's also right, but communicating, I think one of the
Yeah,
things you're asking is how do we, maybe one of the things we might want to do is a quarterly update to the council. To continually give them information, because
Got it.
not trying to dictate to you, but just trying to say, hey, by the way, this is something that's coming up that we think maybe could be an item we might want to consider.
Well, because
So maybe let me just answer your question
Yeah.
too. So from looking at the reexamination, Anna and I are both on the planning board. The planning board, like, the master plan gives you a sentence about preservation. A paragraph about open space and how important open space is, and then it ends.
Right.
And it moves on to the next thing. It has no detail. It might have a couple of recommendations that are current for that sort of era. To back to council, but there's nothing in there that makes council take action.
Correct.
And it just sits there in
That's
the
what I'm
master
looking
plan.
But I think
This is an opportunity to be a bit more, something that we revisit on a going basis. Hey, you know, maybe you signed up for a project that's under one of our objectives, like, how is it going? ERI is also stagnant, I won't say stagnant, it's just that, it's a list, it's almost like a spreadsheet. Here is the stuff we have.
It's inventory of whatever.
It doesn't say, what are we
Yeah.
trying to do?
There's
to
no,
improve
yeah,
it?
no priorities are listed in
There's
it. It's
nothing.
meant to just be just the documents to.
Totally get it. The reason I raise it is right, is that the master plan, if you look at, and I'll draw a metaphor, the ATP is where you get additional fidelity on pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, right? What we want to do, right? It's called out in the master plan, but to your point, it's so vanilla, right?
Right.
There's no substance there. So as I think of this, right, I think there's a placeholder for a document like this that is an extension of the master plan. Hey, in the master plan, it says this one sentence, blah, 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 blah. And to supplement that and to give guidance to the governing body, so whenever we're making a decision, we're having the environment at the forefront, here's how you want to think about the decision, right? Like in the private sector, it would be, hey, anytime I do a software solution, I want to have security at the forefront.
Yep.
Anytime the governing body makes a decision, we want to have an environment at the forefront, right? So it's kind of like drawing all those parallels.
Yeah, we also want to have a conversation. That's what's useful. I mean, you know, when somebody shows up and complains, you'd rather have somebody early on say to you, oh, by the way, here's some information that could be helpful in you in deliberations or whatever.
I love these. This is phenomenal.
Because how often is the master plan, is it every 10 years it's revised?
That's the law, so.
Technically, I mean, technically, and same thing, the ERI is supposed to be every 5 years technically. This is obviously meant to be an annual thing, so if it could be even just referenced, knowing that it's, I mean, it's not gonna be the same thing every year because our priorities are all gonna change. We're gonna have things that, you know, we accomplish. But if it's even just referencing it, I think that would be great.
There's a lot of value there, yeah.
And I think, sorry, just one more thing. I think what I've heard from the governing body is it's hard to understand when, you know, this environmental, in quotes, project is going on here, this is going on here, this is going on here, and they seem like they're similar. And the questions are asked, well, you know, are we spending money in all three of those spots, for example? Are we, you know, it doesn't seem like it might be an efficient use of resources. And it might be, and it could be exactly laid out and done very well and organized and having a great outcome. This helps shed light on that, and you understand, no, see all these projects, like they happen in February, they happen in March, they happen in April, but they're all tied back to an objective for the year.
100%, fully behind it. Yeah, that's great.
No, I think we're not trying to develop a compliance document. A lot of times these things slip into like, okay, it's here because we have to do it every 10 years. We're trying to be aspirational, right? I think we're trying to actually make things real and also have a good conversation to help, you know, and I think that's one of the things that kind of frustrates me again with the state government sometimes is that like, it's just about filling out some piece of paper and then we shove it on the shelf. And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have it all progress. I think everybody I work with here, I think really the town has a lot of advantages and we want to be aspirational, if you
I
will.
like that. Yeah, fully on board.
Cool. But again, I think we still should really, I'd like to work on one that's 5 that is like community livability. Like, I'll give you one that we fight about. How do you recycle? Like, everybody argues about what to put in the can, and we really have to keep working with the town to try and figure out how to do recycling. It's not that people don't want to do it. It's that, you know, part of this to get people to put the right things in the can and not put the wrong things in the
Like
can.
cardboard.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all, I think that's like one of the things about, it's not about actually us changing the physical infrastructure, but it's about promoting a sustainable community, right? And that's an ongoing, and even people who want to comply have challenges. I mean, we've had arguments up here about what to put in the can because it's hard to make sure you read every little triangle, right? So I'd like to work on that because I think that the livable, walkable, you know, we didn't have anything about transport and walkability, and
You're talking behavioral at that point, right?
it's also talking about how you live in the town, right?
I know, but
It's
like you're
different
talking about
here.
resident behavior.
Yeah,
right?
but we live differently than Freehold, right? I mean, if you talk about Freehold Township, right? People in Freehold Township drive everywhere. I mean, Fairhaven has a healthy amount of walking, biking and other, you know, and people can have, you know, live a more sustainable lifestyle here. At least you have a better shot.
Cool. Does that help?
Super helpful. Yeah, and I apologize if you've spoken about these previously, but I don't wanna.
It's relatively new. You know, we Susan and I tabled it in December for the first time. But it was built out of an ask, you know, a general ask. So I'll kind of stop there. This is in your inbox. If you didn't have a chance to see it today, that's no big deal. Take a look at it. What I'm gonna ask, there are 4, and if you want to advocate for 5, that's fine. Yeah, before I go on, so with Christie's showing up here, it's a starting point, look, educational series, topics, you know, I think there's an opportunity for us, to John's point, a lot of this is behavior change, a lot of it is, hey, we know what best practices are, we know what people could be doing, and every person is gonna go through a point in their life where they're planting their garden.
Right.
They're redoing their driveway, they're redoing their gutters, so and so, if they knew that putting down this kind of stone or doing this sort of, barrel, or like, if they knew that,
Yeah.
they might just choose it. And so if we can be that source of, there are different ways of doing it, if you wanna be a more sustainable community, here are some things you can do, and that's where this education series comes from. It comes borrowing from, what our volunteers have seen in other towns.
Yeah.
It's by no means like, I'm not saying this is perfect and we go with this, I'm saying this is, again, as a starting point for us to pull apart.
There's the applicability to the programming that's required to run the town. This overlaps everything in the most positive of ways.
Right.
This also ties in, I think, to the green team of kind of what you guys are doing, and I think it'd be it's good collaboration on kind of the topics and things that you talked about as well. So,
And the shade tree should be.
and shade tree, yeah, and shade tree, like on all of them, I mean, if there's anything in particular topic wise, we should all be working together, so I think this is really great.
You know, little sisters doing these workshops.
Yeah. We should all be doing that,
And
for sure.
well, Brown and I've looked into the recycling one, and they just had one, the gas fire day closed. Which is kind of what's happening,
Yep.
which towns are on board, but kind of the state of, not a lot of talking points anyway. They have food waste coming up. It's 1 o'clock on Sunday, which they seem to get a lot of people. I don't know what works for most people, but, they have very good speakers. I would love to see us do an educational series of some sort.
And I even got the Eagles game in.
For our Philly girls.
I'm with you on that. So like I said, this is up here, what I mentioned, I would send out a Google Doc, about the sustainable New Jersey topics. I will include in there the 4 priorities that are here. I would like you guys to let me know what you're passionate about, what you'd like to work on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll work on,
I'll leave an opportunity to add in one or.
well, no, just like miscellaneous, it said, one of my pet peeves is invasive species, like, why should we plant anything that's not native? Because we need to help the pollinators and we need to, and the other thing is, I mean, we don't have a water problem right now. But our friends in California have really gone much further down the road, but if we planted more native species, right? Everybody in town, I mean, you can have sprinklers, you not have sprinklers, but, I would encourage everybody to plant with more natives that are not requiring extra watering and just live in our environment. That's the type of stuff that we can aspire to do better, like, don't plant non-native stuff if you can avoid it. But that's not really in a separate, that's why I'm thinking.
Number 4.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's here, it's number 4, but is that for, I guess part of the
Yeah.
problem is, it looked to me like it's like for the government, like what should the government do versus unplugging people.
Public and private properties.
Okay, I mean, it may be a separate, but it really, I'm talking about dovetailing into a sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah,
I think this.
And do we need a separate, let's look at it next time and see if you like it,
Thank you for putting it together.
Yeah, it's really good. We get a lot of
I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's, what guides us going forward.
Definitely needed it.
So anyway, yeah, I'll be asking for where your passion, where your interest lies, and we'll go from there next month. So let's wrap up. That's all I had for business tonight.
I just wanted to get 2 seconds. I'm on the sewer authority, the Two Rivers Water Management Authority. And again, I like to update, we're building a new tunnel, and everybody know that, $110 million tunnel underneath the Pleasure Bay. And it's one of those things, it's not really obvious, but the sewer authority, and again, I had the head of the sewer authority come into my class on sustainability. People forget it, it's there every day, it does its job, and the fact that it does its job well, we don't notice it, but they handle tens of thousands of millions of gallons of sewage every year and put out clean water that doesn't damage our environment. And it costs a lot of money. The new tunnel is not like a free-for-all. It's not like what do you have? It's the fact that the tunnel we have is from 1967, I think. And it shifted a bit, and we're worried that if it ever failed, we'd really be in trouble. So the sewer authority keeps doing its job, and I think it's really important. One of the lucky things about Fairhaven is we're a member of the authority. And that means I get to go vote for you all, but the other piece of it is that they maintain our infrastructure here. And I think our sewer infrastructure is in better shape. We've had some reports that Rumps is getting a lot of intrusion because they own their own network and they have to do maintenance to keep their system up. So, if there's any challenges with the sewer authority, please contact me. But yeah, I think again, it's a real advantage for us because it's not a liability sitting on your books, Drew. You know, because it's every time I thought about it, I was all like, thank God we're a member and
They came last year, the year before, and
Yeah.
they did the entire briefing.
yeah.
So if anybody wants like the briefing material, the tunnel,
Yeah.
it's available on the website.
Isn't it going deeper?
What do you mean, the tunnel?
Yeah,
Well, they're already 2/3 of the way across.
no, but I thought it was going.
It's gonna be, I don't know what depth, I have to take a look at the depth, but it's into the stable marl underneath the river, but it's always a challenge to do tunneling.
The engineer.
Yeah, I think it might be somewhat deeper, I have to take a look.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Cool. Anything else? All right, can we open it for public comment, please, Christine?
There is no one online in the public, so in person.
Go ahead.
Probably Neil, I just wanted to report, it used to be, something that we did regularly in the EC is that we put it on the, Madison River Municipality Committee. And I do want to say that it is, as we were looking at these, your mission statements and strategies and priorities, the water committee that is going on regularly it's 30 members, and they come, there's such monitoring that the residents of Fairhaven don't really realize the stewardship that occurs all the time. The citizen science program is put up by Clean Ocean Action, happens every Wednesday morning for the entire 12 months. And those samples, those water samples are taken very seriously by the DEP. There are three DEP members on the water committee. And when there are so many instances where, some area, some station gets pinged. And we had that happen in November, and the town, the county, and the DEP are on it. The area is suspended, it hasn't been downgraded. We're having a meeting tomorrow, and I hear that there's tremendous progress in that regard. But, these scientists, every week, they're sticking their heads in stormwater, manholes. And another thing that occurs is that you're left a little quizzical after the analysis, like where is the pollution coming from? So for instance, it goes from the question to, we have domesticated animals and we have wildlife, and it gets into talking about deer, and maybe we should thin the crowd, the herd. So then that kind of issue, that information, like you were talking about, that monitoring is going on and can be used when we have a conversation about a deer hunt, for instance. So I just wanted, to give that report, and I'm happy to give it every month. I'm glad that Kelly reminded all of us that in fact it's important information for the EC to have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to tell you that
3 minutes.
Buddy and I have, we have a local Monmouth County Audubon Society, and I know it's a very nerdy thing to do is bird watch. My husband says don't tell anybody that you do it, but
Call my wife, she's out there looking for.
but
Dave Burke.
there are many people we are having a talk, and it's open to the public at Nativity Church. Robert Fanning is coming, he's written and speaks on birds. And he's talking on February 5th about the Atlantic Flyway, which is a very unique situation that goes, we live in. And we are trying to take this to many different audiences, not just the garden club, but the school. And Bonnie discovered, that a lot of birders use an eBird app and a Merlin app. And there is a, international bird count in February 14th.
The World Series of Birding.
Where all you have to do is go.
Yay, fellow
birders.
birders.
Backyard, with your kids, with anybody, and just look at the birds that are happening.
Citizen science.
Yes, and what these apps do
You gotta
will,
how
you
we
know,
do it.
hopefully get you hooked on that, but our motivation is we are ready with lists of native plants that are necessary to be planted in the Atlantic flyway so that these birds can get fed. And then, Bobby and I will be
It all ties together.
So that's happening, February 5th, and, you know, we'll get rid of it. So thank you.
I'll just add, that's called the Great Backyard Bird Count.
Yeah.
Great backyard.
Yes, but you haven't seen anything, you see the World Series of Birding. If you're out in the World Series of Birding, they start up in, way up in High Point at midnight. And they have to be at Cape May by midnight. And some people don't drive. There's a bicycling
No,
crew,
come
because
on.
they're really crazy. So, they're really crazy. But the count is insane too.
Yeah.
Like, they get like 190 birds,
Mhm.
different birds in a day.
That's
But on these apps, you know, between those 4 days, the map is just lighting up.
Yeah.
And you're connected.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question about the connection from the flyaway to the native plants? So you made that, you brought it up earlier as well. So the average Fairhaven resident is gonna be doing some planting, maybe as early as March, April. How would they discover this? What is a native plant I can put in my garden?
I mean,
I'm relying on my gardener or whoever I hire to. you know,
Right, and that's
put
the
in
problem.
hydrangeas and boxwoods and all that, like, how do I say, no, I wanna go native, and these are the things I wanna use?
so EC has a workshop and teach them all about the plants to plant.
Is there anything, is there like a document, is there like a
Yes.
pamphlet or something?
So maybe we
Matter
can,
of fact, you have, something that, I don't wanna say it's gender, dominant, but, there are a lot of men on the, Fish and Wildlife. There's a lot of hunters and a lot of
Right.
fishermen, and I would say they're more dominantly men. Well, you have on their website the proper way to plant a rain garden, the proper way, they have native, ecosystems that they encourage, and they have plant lists. Now, there are other, gardeners, links would be more like Jersey friendly and Native Plant Society of New Jersey, but the 4-H, clubs, like their websites are, they are fantastic on trees. So, there's
So-
all
John,
kinds of
So that's
research.
like 3 or 4 organizations,
shade
but
tree.
if I go to,
The
if
shade
I go to
tree.
the green team, and
We-
if I go to your Instagram, will I see like a list of natives that would work great in Fairhaven?
The Shade Tree Commission has the list of
But
native.
that is an Excel, like that is a table.
well,
of,
maybe
like,
we could
It's on
have,
the web- it's on the
maybe we
website.
could have FAQ on
And
the,
you tell me what's in the ordinance.
No, there's a whole, for, not the tree ordinance. The Shade Tree Commission has a whole website that they worked on for a very, very long time that is dedicated to the native trees and plants
Yeah.
for Fairhaven.
we need an FAQ on like, whatever, like, who knows, one of the things you
We
can
need
make
a
up a
better
list.
website for the EC to actually have this
Yeah.
information.
This work has been done.
Right, no, we just need to point people
It's
to it
not
and say,
you guys
hey, this
very
is a
well.
suggestion.
Totally, I hear that, right? But I know Sherry Sparrow, the certified tree expert, was involved in this, or other experts were, so.
These are trees, okay.
There's trees and, yeah.
Is this Mark's?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Wilmington Environmental Commission's website,
It
there's
is
a lot of
nice.
that information on it. They've done
Yeah,
some,
we need-
not
we
the
need some-
Shade Tree Commission.
Yeah.
The
EC.
environmental,
Yeah, the EC,
they've
yeah.
done a lot of good work on native plants and they have all that information. It would be
Mhm.
great if we could.
But I just see trees.
Communication.
There's the Shade Tree website
Yeah,
too.
this is, yeah,
This is one.
this is what Mark.
Right, but again, that's like,
I know, it's
that's
like an
not
Excel,
ours, right?
right.
That's not
And it would be like
it's
It's
not
Excel.
consolidated.
Yeah, there's no
for
pictures or
us.
anything.
Yeah.
But if there's any way that we can, I mean, we're here and we're dedicated.
And I'm not trying to like point fingers, I'm just like, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
we
like, you
need-
gotta make it as
Yes.
dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
make
make
it
it easy,
as
make it
possible.
easy, but the button that easy.
See, that Google site looks great, but does anyone, if you surveyed people in your neighborhood, would anyone know what that Google site is?
Right.
Tell them, so I'm saying the town is in Instagram.
But it also gets back to the
But we have the
primary.
green team Instagram, why is it,
Because
are
it's
like,
different.
are they for, like, I'm not saying they don't, but is
I would
it?
say that, you know, it could be political and it could be, this is more like general information that needs to be out there.
I mean, we could have something on the green team on Instagram, like. These are plants, don't plant these, plant these
Right.
instead. Like, that's always, I think, helpful, that what to
Right.
plant instead of a boxwood, what to plant instead of a hydrangea. Which shrubs, you know, native shrubs
Right.
have the berries that the birds want. I mean, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe we should do that on Instagram.
But our website should be better
The
too.
website should be,
For these.
there's nothing, yeah.
So that's kind of where, when I come back, you asked, what's the purpose of this strategy?
Yeah.
If we all agree that invasives are bad and natives are great, why don't we all join forces and figure out a way to get it on social, get a website, get pictures, like, and make it like obvious?
Maybe we could work on having like fact of the week or tip of the week, you know?
Like, we don't have to own-
You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is something you can do that
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be helpful, you know what I mean? We're not trying to tell you what to
Here's what's
do, but.
native and here's where you can buy them.
Right, exactly. Who supplies them? Where are they? What are good lists?
Is there any hope of getting the EC website, improved and helpful?
It's something for us
I don't
to
know,
chat
I
about.
don't know. who
Yeah,
does
and
it.
if that's,
the,
I mean, if that's like really the stumbling block,
Yeah,
I'll
let's do it.
certainly.
I think
get
it
on
can
top
tie
of
into
it,
what
but-
we're trying to do anyway, because obviously the big piece is education, so I think
Correct.
we
I
can
think it-
easily tie them together.
I think it's just agreeing on what do we think is important?
Yeah.
Do we have content to put out there? And then it's,
Well,
we have,
how.
we have Betty Ann, we have,
In the buzz, you could put little snippets of things.
we could start there.
Yeah,
Right, say,
have like,
I mean, there are.
sustainability corner. And that's-
And she pulled me aside this week and said to me and Kelly, like, we need stuff.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
we also need demonstration garden, you know.
Or even demonstration lawns, like, hey, this, I just did like the mailbox, like planting, like, and
I have.
take a picture of it.
We
got
have a
mine.
project coming up.
I'm ready, man. I don't do a darn thing. I cut it and that's it. Like, whatever weeds are there, cut them off, that's it. No intervention. Everybody lives at home.
So we have
It's a
a
strategy.
April project for the garden club, is we're having a master gardener come. And we changed the name of the project, but we hope to get it into the schools so that the kids can say, Mom and Dad, we wanna be in this competition. We're having a mailbox garden competition, and you get more points if you have natives. And I think, you know, Anna, we can talk about, you know, the business native garden, you know, plots that, you know, we hope to increase.
Yeah, a few of us built a box under the trees in front of Krausers and planted natives and pollinators in the middle of the night. I had lumber dropped off, I had soil dropped off, and I planted the pollinator garden with them.
One of the
It was an unsightly plot and it's a private property. I got the plans from Guy Henderson and I built a raised bed and put soil in it and planted. The natives are hopefully gonna root into the tree system. There's ground and then the rest it sits over on the pasture. So that was a 10 PM build a few nights ago. And we've discussed with other business owners in town that have kind of unsightly patches where we could build out a few different places. So it's something that.
But the other thing is maintenance practice. Like, in other words, everybody wants the super green lawn treated with a lot of chemicals. Again, I'm not joking. My lawn gets nothing other than mowed every once in a while. And so there's nothing coming off my lawn, no fertilizer that's going into the river and no chemicals, you know. One of the things is that's an aesthetic. My lawn doesn't look like my neighbor across the street with his sprinklers and kettle lawn.
Yeah.
But I live with myself every day, happy in the fact that I'm not negatively hurting the environment, and maybe we should encourage that, right? To just say, hey,
I think it's definitely trending too.
right, I'm just saying, we should encourage it, you know,
Yeah.
because sometimes people get into it like, well, we're gonna give you a fine for not maintaining your lawn to our quote, chem lawn standards. I mean, we should back off on that and just say, live and let live, you know?
It's kind of like the leaf and the leaves. It's a change in perspective.
Yeah.
It's a change and you're learning I mean, you know, nobody knows this off the bat, but you slowly learn what's right and wrong to do for the environment, and, we all have a choice, we have a choice to, you know, help it.
An
or-
education series would be
Yeah.
huge, and it's something. If we want a committee and Kelly and get into the schools and start, you know, if my 2-year-old said this to me all day, every day, I have to acquiesce to do something. So to have the kids start to really talk about it, I'd be like, okay, enough, we'll do it.
The other thing is,
You know?
like front lawn meadows.
Yeah.
How encouraging is the town to that? You know, that's a question of, is it encouraged? You know, if we say something like it's encouraged, why don't you think about it? You know, because a meadow is much better than a lawn, right?
Yeah.
Yes, correct? We're good with the meadow, you know, right?
I think one more thing is that the borough can practice some of these things and be a model. You know, like I drive down River Road and I see the DPW blowing the leaves off that grassy knoll by the Fairhaven sign, like that's
Right.
not necessary. And we can save money by not doing that.
There you go. I think that should be added in the mission, you know.
And then I do want to give some credit, like the green team had that movie about the people that built a native,
Wild in the Garden State.
they built they turned their yard into a beautiful native garden. And that was very educational and had an impact on a number of us, and we've changed our practices.
One of the things we did talk about.
And
during
then,
the workshop was
there was
town
another,
care.
I'm trying to think of another. Oh, there was Rumson Garden Club held a plant
Especially in
sale,
summer.
but it was only native plants.
Mhm.
And that was like super helpful, because when you go to the nursery the whole time, you're using your phone, like it's just,
Yeah.
they had already curated it for you.
Yeah.
So you could buy anything
Perfect.
that was there. And we have planted 2 native things in our yard and they thrive. Super easy, they're designed to thrive here, you know, like.
The borough, it would be really helpful if they set the example.
For sure.
For everybody.
Yeah, I
Watch,
I think- And I think they just need to be, like, I think that's an opportunity for us to give them that guidance about some small things, maybe some bigger things. Part of with the material that was up on the screen earlier, when we talked about it's at that slide, it talks about the 4 seasons and the different topics. Ultimately, what it is an opportunity for groups like yours and ours to stack hands and say, these are the 4 themes this year that really matter most. And so we're gonna double down on whether it's John's focus on natives in a meadow or pollinators and you know, be part of the flyway. Like, I don't necessarily care what they are, but I would care that we're all saying that these are the things we all want to work together on. And then it becomes, you know, there are themes that we agree on. There's policy we pass on to the governing body. There's real life examples. Maybe the garden club, the green team are working out in town doing things that are things that we take pictures of, things we can promote, we can celebrate, we can award points if we want to get into that kind of like Lake Como, you know,
Yeah.
program thing they have for highlighting great things. I think all of that's on the table, but it starts with agreeing on like, what are the key things we wanna do.
I think even though it's small, obviously, because we don't wanna overextend ourselves too, so it makes sense to keep it condensed and revisit it every year.
I just have to say that when I first moved to town and I came to an environmental commission meeting, there was not a lot happening. I'm so thrilled with the conversation that you've all been having and its plans, strategy. The fact that hopefully the environment and the impacts will be one of the top considerations for things that are done in the town by residents and by the borough. And, you know, just it becomes like a priority. I don't think it has been for a very long time. I think, you know, having our new borough administrator seems very on board, and so I'm just thank you, and I really look forward to great things happening going forward.
Thanks, Bonnie. Any other comments? Yes.
Green team meeting is next Thursday, the 23rd, 7 o'clock here.
Thank
Thank you.
That's good.
Good advertising.
I have 7:30, so I will adjust.
I guess that's it.
Yeah, we have to
That's
get
it.
Official end.
Move to adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
That was good.
Second, third.
Thank you, guys.
Are you going to?
Yeah. What?
Today's fun.
I bet you can see. If I can find the suit.